Hi team, Michelle Hemley here for today's episode of Ask Team Hemley TV. And something we get a lot of questions about here at Hemley's Health, Fitness, Sport Development is warm-ups. So should I do a warm-up? What sort of things should I do as part of my warm-up? How long should my warm-up be? Rearrange that question about 20 different times, and that's what I hear all the time. So today I thought I would discuss warm-ups, the 4 essential parts I believe it needs to make up a warm-up, no matter what sporting competition or activity you are warming up for. And I'll give you a few practical examples of how I've used this in certain situations and scenarios. So to start with, why do we warm up? There's a few different reasons. One is so that we can safely participate, so our body is actually warmed up, ready to go. We're not starting our exercise or activity for that day cold and more susceptible to injury. Number 2 is to actually get used to the conditions. So if you're looking at a field sport, you have to get out there and get used to the wind direction when shooting for goal. The rain, the heat, whatever you're playing in that day. If you're a surf lifesaver and you go to a new beach, you need to check out the currents, where the potholes are, the rips, easiest way to get out through the break. So, checking out the conditions is an essential part of your warm-up if you're in an activity which is applicable to that. And the third part of a warm-up is actually to prepare us to compete and go fast. This is something that I feel a lot of people ignore. They think, I've got to do a really short and easy warm-up so I don't use up all my energy for my half marathon I'm about to run. Whereas that's not the case. You need to prepare your body to be able to go when that gun goes. Otherwise, if you haven't effectively got your heart rate up as part of the warm-up process, you'll feel pretty crap to start with, to tell you the truth. So I'll talk you through some ways we can do that. So they're the 3 reasons why you should warm up, so that you're safe and less susceptible to injury, so that you can check out the conditions of where you will be competing, and so that you are prepared, your body is physiologically prepared to compete and go fast. 4 essential parts of a warm-up. The very first thing you should do as part of a warm-up, no matter what activity you are competing in, is some functional and dynamic movement exercises to get the body prepared to move in the planes of motions and in the directions and the types of movement patterns it will be participating in. So, for example, if you are about to go for a run, some dynamic movement exercises to move through before you start include things such as leg swings, walking lunges, all of those sorts of activities which open up the hip and get you prepared to move. If you're about to go for a swim, things like shoulder rolls and arm swings are appropriate. And the same with football or team sport exercises. There's a whole range of activities that those players generally go through before they head out onto the court or onto the field. So that should be the first thing you do in any warm-up. The next 3 essential parts of a warm-up are interchangeable. One is some easy aerobic exercise. So whether that's going for an easy jog, a small easy swim, going for a little bit of a spin on your bike if it's a cycling event or a triathlon you were warming up for. Just some basic easy movement for anywhere between 5 and 15 minutes, depending how experienced you are and how fit you are, just to get the blood flowing and the heart pumping and everything moving in the body as it should. Third part of an essential warm-up is actually your skills and drills. So setting your technique, practicing your skills specific to the competition. So if you're a netballer, and you're a goal shooter, you may be out there just practicing, having a few shots before the start of the game. And the 4th part is actually raising your heart rate, spiking your heart rate. So you can do that with a series of short sprints. What a lot of people don't realise, and this is particularly important for morning competitions and morning activities, when you wake up in the morning, your heart rate is the lowest it will be all day. And it actually needs to be kick-started into action to have you going fast. So for example, if you train in the morning, this is particularly relevant with swimmers, hands up if the first interval or the first effort you have done has actually felt really terrible, and then as you do more of them you actually start to feel better. It's because your heart is still learning to wake up from that morning and when it was at its lowest heart rate for the day. So if you're doing sprints anything under 30 seconds or little short intervals, that's enough to spike the heart rate, but you're not actually building up any lactate. So it's a way that you can warm up so that when that gun goes for your event, you're ready to go fast, you're ready to move fast. However, you're not building up any fatigue, so it's not going to affect you in regards to you're going to be tired out from your warm-up. So that's a really essential part of your warm-up as well. So the 4 essential parts of warm-up is always start off with some functional movement and some dynamic movement exercises just to get all the joints working, get everything ready to go in the movement patterns you will be showing. The other 3 parts are all interchangeable, and that is your skills and drills to set technique and practice sport-specific skills. Your aerobic, easy, just movement exercise, going for a little jog, going for a little swim. And your 4th is spiking the heart rate. Now I'm just going to give you a few practical examples here to show you how a warm-up can be interchangeable and what it looks like for a lot of the athletes I coach and what I would personally do for some of these events. So for example, if I was warming up for a marathon or half marathon, this is what it would look like. Before I would leave home, I would actually go through my functional movement exercises just to get my body moving. And then when I get to the venue, I will actually go through those movement exercises again. So like I was saying, single leg leans, ankle rolls, walking lunges, leg swings to open up your hips, those sort of movement. I'd then go for a 10-minute easy jog, and then I would do 4 50-step sprints. So I don't need distance or time for this. I just find a starting point. I run 50-foot strikes fast, and then I walk back to the start. I do that 4 times just to spike my heart rate, and then I'm ready to go. I head to the start line. For children, say, warming up for a swimming carnival or a school swimming event, I would change it slightly. I would add a few drills in there. So again, we do our dynamic movement exercises on the side of the pool. We then do some easy swimming to start with. We then do some drills to set technique. We then combine starting and finishing drills with some sprints. So we might dive off the blocks. So we're practicing our starts, and the swimmers will do 25-metre sprints. So that's got the double effect of practicing their skills and spiking their heart rate at the same time. If I'm working with school swimmers who swim pretty consistently, the overall warm-up might be quite short. It might be anywhere between 300 and 500 metres. However, if I'm working with more competitive swimmers who are used to a higher swimming volume, you might be looking at a 1 kilometre to a 1.23 kilometre warm-up, incorporating the same sort of structure and style. It's just longer for each section. For a triathlon, obviously there's equipment that you can access at certain times, and that affects how you do your warm-up as well. So the order of a triathlon is swim, ride, run, but generally your bike has to be locked away in transition. So when I get to a venue for a triathlon, the first thing I do is usually go for a little spin on my bike so that I can just check this, is a double whammy, I guess, because I can check that my equipment's working and all my gears are smooth and can go through. My bike's in the right gear to start the event, and that's my easy aerobic activity to start getting warm as well. I'd then put my bike away, set up my transition, and then I might go through my dynamic warm-up exercises, a short little run, and then I'd head to the swim start, again where I'd do some dynamic exercises, arm swings, get in and have a little easy swim, and do a few short sprints similar to what I do on land for the running event. So I would just swim 20 strokes fast, stop and rest, and do that 4 to 6 times to spike the heart rate and have me ready to go when the gun goes. If you're looking at team sports, and this is where the different components of the warm-up can be interchangeable to suit the conditions and what you need. So talking about footballers, if you're playing on a very cold day, I would do my dynamic movement exercises in the change rooms where it's warm, and then as soon as you head out onto that oval in the cold and wind, you need to get moving. So that's when you head straight into your easy aerobic exercise. Then you might want to do your sprints to spike the heart rate before you get into your skills and drills. Because obviously skills for football, you might have players handballing drills between each other, goal practice, kicking for goal. They need to be warm before they get to that. So that's why you would structure it slightly differently to those other examples I just gave you. Now, one point before I leave, what a warm-up is not, and what it has no proven benefit to include, is static stretches. So you see this at a lot of fun runs. People go, oh, I've got to stretch before I start, and they'll go find something to lean on and they'll lift their foot behind their backside and hold a traditional quad stretch. That's not really doing anything. That's only really beneficial in increasing and promoting flexibility, and your body needs to be warm to start with to do that, or you're not actually gaining any benefit. So just to recap what we've talked about today, we warm up for 3 reasons. 1 is to get used to the conditions of the environment we will be competing in. 2 is to make sure we are safe and the body's warm and ready to go. And 3rd is to spike the heart rate so we're ready to go fast when the competition starts. 4 components of a warm-up is some functional and movement exercises to start with, some easy aerobic activity just to get the blood flowing, some skills and drills to set technique and to practice skills specific to the event you will be competing in. And number 4 is some short little sprints to spike the heart rate, but short enough so that you're not going to build up fatigue that will affect your event. So thanks very much for joining us for today's episode. We look forward to answering any questions you may have. You can tag your question on our social media feeds on Facebook or Instagram with the hashtag AskTeamHemleyTV, or you can email your questions directly to us through our website www.hemleys.com.au. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. See you later.